Hello, my name is Ifoma Samuel, and if you're new around here, I encourage you to subscribe and welcome to the channel. Okay, so we are going through the Spirit of a Giant Slayer Bible study. Today, we'll take the second part of that study and we'll be talking about why you should slay the giants in your life. Okay, so however, I would like to chip it in here. There is a text to this. Okay, so you should read the complete Bible study on the blog, purposefullymeaningful.com, where you would also find that there's another part of this post or this today's episode that has to do with um, why people neglect the giants in their life. Okay, so that's also an interesting part that I may not be able to cover in this video. Okay, so let's jump right into the study already. Okay, come along with me. Now, Moses was given instruction, okay, God gave him clear instruction as to what the Israelites should do when they get into the promised land, when they get to Canaan land. God already told him, okay, that you people should make sure that you drive out, all right, all the inhabitants of that land. Make sure you completely dispossess them. Now, when Moses was passing on the baton to Joshua, the same instruction, okay, we see that same instruction being handed down to Joshua. Okay, so for the sake of this study, please take your writing material and jot down these few places where I would list right now. Um, Deuteronomy chapter 12, Deuteronomy chapter 20, Numbers chapter 21, 1 to verse 1 to 3 there, Joshua chapter 23, and Joshua chapter 13. Okay, so those are all scriptures that we're going to be using. And of course, as we progress during this video, I would list some more. Now, the Israelites did not completely destroy. They did not. Okay, so in Joshua chapter 13, and God is, now mentioning to Joshua. Let me read that verse 1. It says, now Joshua was old and stricken. Okay, he was old and stricken in years. Okay, and the Lord said unto him, thou art old and stricken in years, and there remaineth yet yet very much land to be possessed. So the instruction was not fully carried out. Now we go to verse 13. That's Numbers chapter 13, verse 13. He said, nevertheless, the children of Israel expelled not. There were a lot of people that they did not expel. In fact, if you read through the book of Joshua, you realize that they did not completely obey that instruction. And of course, God brought it back to their notice. And when he was speaking to them, he told them, God, God is quite detailed. He mentioned to them, because you did not completely obey this instruction, these people will eventually be thorns and be whips. Okay, they will be used to correct you every time you step out of line. They'll be used as a means to get you back into God's place. Now, God is quite detailed. God knows why he gives us instruction. Okay, and that in his wisdom, he knew that having something to do with the original settlers of that land would result in all sorts of abominations. Of course, given the fact that they were idol worshippers, given the fact that they had no fear at all for God, God already knew in his wisdom the level of destruction that they would cause. Of course, we are quick to remember Solomon had so many, okay, not just only the fact that he had so many wives, he had wives from all sorts of places, and they eventually turned turned his eyes away from God. Now, God is mindful of us, his children. He's mindful that not only that we obey because he's a jealous God, no, not only that we obey because he's just God and then he can boss us around. No, not at all. God knows what is good for you and I. He knows that obedience is still, the ticket to us enjoying all the promises that he has for us. Okay, he in his all-knowing wisdom knows what lies ahead of us. Whatever decision that we're making, he knows what's okay, the result that we will have. Okay, he knows the aftermath of all that decision that we make. And of course, he left since they left them, those people became, as we said earlier, became thorns. The danger of partial obedience, that brings us to something that God does not like. Danger of partial obedience. Many of us, we just pick and choose that which we want, and then we leave what we feel is not so right, or what we feel is inconvenient for us. That it is dangerous to walk in that light. It's dangerous to walk in partial obedience. Okay, something else. There's danger in unfinished business. When God starts a journey, he likes to complete it. If you study through all those scriptures that I mentioned earlier, you find out that God was concerned about the fact that they were becoming slack in taking over their land. This is something that He has promised you. He has given you this victory, and then you don't want to, or you feel you want to procrastinate, or you feel you want to take your time and go and execute what He has asked you to do. Go possess the land. It's that simple. He's with you. Then reading through the Israelites' journey and reading through all those scriptures, and something pulls my heart. I'm like, why did you take that long? Why were you taking your time to actually go possess your land? It's something that it is very relatable even today. It's very relatable. It's something that we can connect with when God gives you a miracle, when God gives you a blessing, and you make delayed decisions. There's some of those things that apply. Some of all these lessons apply to even my own personal life. Okay, so I don't know about you. How does this relate with you? How does it apply to your own life? Are there areas where you are slacking? Are there areas where you're procrastinating? Are there areas where you need to sit up and actually go possess the land? Okay, those are things we should ponder a while. Let's quickly get to Saul and the story of Saul and the Agagites. And God gave him a instruction that you can find that in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 17 to 26. Is a very, very unfortunate situation that this young man finds himself. He finds himself in a situation where he wants to show compassion on who God has kind of given his judgment on. And he keeps the king alive, and he lies again to the prophet Samuel and say, "Oh no, I've completely done everything God asked me to do." And that really pissed that really pissed God off. And like, did you actually do that? Did you actually execute what I asked you to do? I said completely destroy. And that instruction was something that was generational. It's something that God had said earlier. It will shock you, but let's go that. Let's talk about it. God had told Moses that He will completely destroy the Amalekites. And you find that in Exodus 17, verse 14. God had told Moses, that's generations past, that He was going to completely destroy Amalekites. Now the time has come when this is the time for that promise to be done, and King Saul decides to change it. He decides to, well, God won't mind. Let me just do it this way. And it still boils down to the same thing I said. God is not so pleased when we want to go through partial obedience. So in His sight, partial obedience is disobedience, is rebellion. Okay, partial obedience means you are trying to reason things out for God. You're trying to, oh, okay, God, your decision isn't so clear here. Let me fine tune it. Whereas He's the one that has the final authority. He knows what He's saying. And of course, we know eventually when we hear of Haman and being connected some way, okay, with being connected with Agagite again, and you see Haman in the rival, the person who completely hated the Jews, completely hated Mordecai, and you find out that that generation somehow escaped. God is so full of wisdom. God is so full of wisdom. Studying this, I see why obedience is still the best way to follow Christ. Obedience is still the best way you and I can follow Christ. Okay, so moving on. Every time you leave a battle unfought, unattended to, it becomes a mountain and it becomes a giant. Every time we not attend to that situation as soon as we should, it becomes a mountain. And that is where we start to think of, oh, how do I pull down this stronghold? Then it becomes a stronghold. Then it becomes something that is like something that we need to, it becomes like overwhelming. Okay, so you will, of course, need more effort to deal with the giant. We need more effort now. So what is that situation in your life that you need to attend to now? What is it that you need to attend to? It could just come in like a habit. It could come like very slicky. The devil don't just come like it comes it comes like a snake, and like it just throws one or two ideas and then you start working on it, and only for you to realize that you have completely left God's will. Okay, God will help us. God will really help us. Now, another reason why you should fight your battles is people get inspired. Okay, people get inspired when they see you. Do you know that David's men, okay, 4 of David's men completely slayed 4 giants? Yeah, there were 4 more giants. Yes. I'm sure that would shock some of us. Okay, so you would find that in 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 16 to 22. So there were 4 more giants, and David's men actually dealt with that. So when you rise in your own, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, and you rise above um, an addiction, a struggle, whatever you're going through, you overcome in your own place. That overcoming grace that you have, it's kind of contagious. People get inspired by hearing your story. People get, wow, if David could slay Goliath, then I can slay this giant. If David could triumph over this giant, then I can triumph over this. So, do you see that we are kind of all connected? The miracle of this story is your testimony is going to be somebody's inspiration. So, why don't we kind of go get our giants completely? Okay. So, I leave that to us to ponder a bit. So, go get that giant in your life and inspire somebody. Okay, go get that giant in your life. Okay, so a third point. This one is very close to my heart. Why you should slay that giant now. Now, the giants that we leave eventually become giants that our children will face. I hate to say this, but it is true. One day, when my daughter was doing her Bible study, she walked up to my room and she asked me, why does the scripture say that happy is the man that has a quiver full of them? That's Psalm 127, sorry, verse 5. And the other part of that verse says, they shall speak with the enemy in the gate. And she's like, why should the children speak with it means actually confrontation. If you check other translation, it means that your children will confront with the enemy in the gate. And she's like, why should the children confront with the enemy in the gate? And I said to her, when parents don't stand up to what they're supposed to do, when they don't confront that enemy, it becomes a giant that the children need to contend with. Now let me show you something. In the book of Joshua chapter 11 verse 22, that verse, that particular verse, I need to read it. I need to read it out loud so that you'll figure something. Okay, good. So we'll figure it together. It says that there was none of the Anakims. Remember, the Anakims are the giants. Yeah, they are the giants. Now, none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel. He said there was none. Okay, there was left. Only in Gaza. Okay, in Gath and in Ashdod, there remained. Now, remember that they were supposed to take over these places. They did not. Now, those giants were left in Gath, in Gaza, and in Ashdod. Guess what? Where is Goliath from? You see what I'm saying? Whenever we leave battles unfought, our children take up, okay, sadly, take up that generational battle. There are some battles I don't want my children to face. Yes, there are real life battles you don't want your children to struggle with. So I encourage you where you are right now. Rise up and contend with whatever Goliath is facing you. That Goliath has got to die. That Goliath has got to be gone. Otherwise, your children will be faced with real life giants where they have to contend. So I'm so glad going into this study. It's so wow. It's so revealing. Totally. It's so revealing for me. It's like step by step going through everything that is wrapped up in the Spirit of the Giant Slayer study is amazing. It's like so I encourage you to contend, okay, for your faith, contend in the place of prayer. I encourage you to go through the Bible scriptures again in your own time, and also visit our blog purposefulandmeaningful.com. I will drop the link, okay, to this in the description box. I will drop the link to this video. I will drop it there, the link to the blog post rather. I will drop it in this video, the description box, so that you can find it easily. This study is something that will transform someone's life by God's grace. I'm believing God for that. I'm believing God for deliverance as well. So I encourage you to please share this video, okay? If it blessed your life, also feel free to share the blog post as well. Thank you. I can't wait to hear testimonies from you. God bless you. Thank you.